What? The Chinese GP quali delivered a plot twist you don't want to miss. Let me break it down like I'm sitting in the garage with you, camera off but brain fully fired up. Today's story is Antonelli's shock pole, Russell's gear gremlin, and a grid that suddenly feels alive with drama. I'm going to skip the dull recap and go straight to what this actually means for the season, the rookie's path, and Mercedes' starship-level pressure situation. Personally, I think this pole for Kimi Antonelli isn't just a milestone. It's a signal that the racetrack keeps rewriting the youth versus experience script in ways we didn't expect. What makes this really interesting is how a single lap can ripple through strategy, development timelines, and even the psychology of a team that's supposed to be untouchable. One big idea here is the power of momentum and tiny margins. Antonelli's fastest lap at 1 minute and 32.064 seconds didn't come from a giant horsepower surge or some secret setup. It came from a clean, fearless lap where every gear, brake, and corner seemed to click. From my perspective, that underlines a broader trend. New talents aren't just talented, they're surgically precise at the right moments. If you take a step back, you'll see teams betting big on youth not just for speed, but for the ability to lock in a perfect run when it matters most. In other words, pole positions aren't just about speed, they're about timing and composure under pressure, and Antonelli has shown he can ride that edge. Now, Russell's Q3 issue is the other side of the coin. He stops on track, gear woes hinder him, and suddenly the pole guy becomes the frontrunner, literally popping into life at the last second. What this really suggests is that reliability matters as much as raw pace, perhaps more so when you're pushing to defend the pole late in Q3. In my opinion, this moment is a microcosm of the season. The best machines are rarely just the fastest. They're also the most forgiving when something spikes in the critical minutes. The takeaway for teams watching is clear. You can't bake in your advantage and forget the little gremlins in the system. If you do, someone faster and luckier will steal it in a heartbeat. Let's talk the rest of the grid. Hamilton and Leclerc on row 2 keeps the championship narrative alive. Piastri and Norris grid on row 3 keeps McLaren in the hunt, while still chasing a pole that eluded them. This is the kind of grid that breeds scrappy, late-race strategy and 1,000 little decisions in the pit lane. What many people don't realize is how much pace management and tire preservation are battling in qualifying's wake. A 0.2 to 0.3 second gap can determine entire race strategies. What tires to choose, how aggressively to attack early laps, whether to save energy for a late push. It's not just speed, it's rhythm. Gasly's surprise outqualifying of the Red Bulls shows the pit lane is never static. It's a reminder that development and adaptation matter more than anyone wants to admit. The grid is full of stories right now. Verstappen sits a touch off pole, Hadger's bold move into Q3, and Hulkenberg just missing Q3 by a whisper. These microdramas tell us something bigger. In Formula One, the splits are razor-thin and the margins are where legacies are built. In my view, it signals that the season will be a chess game of who adapts fastest between sessions. Finally, the Bortoleto spin and the yellow flag that reshaped Q2 remind us how fragile momentum can be. A single mistake or external incident can ruin a lap and reset the narrative. What this really suggests is that preparation isn't only about raw speed. It's about creating mental resilience to absorb chaos and still push for the best possible result. If you're chasing a takeaway, here's the distilled thought. The grid in Shanghai isn't just about who's fastest in qualifying. It's about who handles pressure, who navigates the small failures, and who can convert a late sprint moment into a race-winning run. Antonelli's pole proves a new chapter is being written, one where youth and precision collide with the established order, and Mercedes suddenly faces a real, ongoing challenge to keep pace with a rapidly evolving field. So what does this mean for the race tomorrow? My prediction is a tense start, a few early overtakes, and a test of who can maximize the volatility of a street circuit where one misstep can turn into a strategic goldmine. I'll be watching how Mercedes responds. Do they chase the pace in clean air, or do they lean into race-aircraft and strategic pit stops to bridge the gap? What do you think will be the X factor tomorrow? The pit stops, tire choice, or the early aggression on track? Drop your thoughts, and let me know which storyline you're most focused on as we ride into the Grand Prix weekend.